Okay, so I'm putting Braille paper in my Perkins, my Brailler, my Braille typewriter. I'm rolling in some paper. Okay, and I'm gonna show you. For those who don't or have never seen one of these, it's heavy, very heavy, not something that you can carry around. And hopefully, I'm actually looking at the camera with my little tiny RPIs. Well, I'll always say that I only have light perception. I don't even see shadows anymore. So I videotape myself. I videotape my videos by myself at home and out there, everywhere I go. So hopefully I'm looking at the camera. Hopefully there is enough lighting. But I'm trying to show my Braille typewriter, Perkins Brailler. It's a typewriter for the blind to type Braille. Okay, equivalent to those old typewriters that we used to have, how many decades ago? It has the 6 Braille keys, the space in between, a key equivalent to enter, and this is heavy, my hand already hurts. And on the top, on each side, it has the rollers to roll in and out the paper. And I'm gonna put it down because this is so heavy. Hi, this is Anna. It's Anna. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm gonna share with you about Braille dots. Dots everywhere. And I have a magazine right here that I'm gonna show for those who have never seen Braille, just hoping that maybe someone, and only someone sighted, click on my video. Someone sighted is visiting my very simple channel. Okay, here I'm gonna show it. Hopefully you can see it. The cover, and it says, to you it probably says ... but believe it or not, Braille is a whole language, and I'm gonna show you why I'm doing this video today. Okay, hopefully you can see. It's a little awkward. Okay, so but let me show you why I'm doing this video today. It's a little hopefully you're gonna be able to see what I'm gonna type, so you can see how this little but very heavy thing works, and you know why I'm doing this video. Okay, so today is January 4th, and we are celebrating World Braille. And as you could hear, it makes a little sound when you're out almost at the end of the paper. Okay, day. I forgot what I was writing. We are also, I made a mistake, also celebrating Louis Braille birthday. Of course I did with uppercase letters. So that's right, on January 4th we celebrate World Braille Day and Louis Braille's birthday. But more than anything, today is a celebration and a reminder that we blind people exist, that we blind people are part of this world, and that accessibility, in this case accessibility with Braille, gives a blind person independence, autonomy, and that accessibility for us blind people is critical. And that's what makes a big difference. And today I'm going to share with you how I use Braille. So as a tribute to Louis Braille, and as a reminder that we blind people are actually part of this sighted world, I decided to do this video and share with you how important Braille is in my life and the different ways how I use Braille. But for those who don't know what Braille is, what the Braille system is, sometimes we think that everyone knows what Braille is, but it's not always the case. Maybe people have seen these dots everywhere, at the bank, ATM, restrooms, elevators, but people don't really know. You can say that all blind people around the world know what Braille is or what the Braille system is, but You would be surprised. But anyway, just to give a quick description, this is not a Braille class. It's just about, you know, how I depend on this dots every day. Not until I, you know, kind of plan this video, realize how much I depend on Braille and what a difference Braille does in my life. But anyway, Braille was invented by Louis Braille, this French guy who was born in 1809, who died in 1852, and who invented Braille at the age of 15. He went blind when he was a kid. While playing with his dad in his shop, he had an accident, got an infection on his eyes, he went blind, and by the age of 15, he invented Braille. Of course, inspired by this French captain who used to use a night code system to, I guess, to get to communicate with his people. So inspired by this system, Louis Braille invented the Braille, and even though it has changed, you know, even though the Braille has changed throughout the years, this reading and writing, or writing and reading system for the blind is used by blind people around the world. Okay, so the Braille system is composed of 6 dots. Okay, I have here a little thing that I purchased from the Braille Institute. It's like for my blind subscribers, this is a wooden thing. It's a wooden box. Okay, they call it the Braille Cell Box, if I'm not mistaken. Imagine the iPhone box, you know, where you lift the lid, and on the bottom is a little wooden rectangle, and on each side they carve 2 lines of 3 holes where they have these little wooden sticks, okay, and they're forming the Braille cell. It's called the Braille cell. So the Braille cell is formed by 6 dots, and the combination of different dots make up a letter or a character. Okay, so this is a wooden thing, you guys, with where they carve 6 little holes. Okay, they don't go all the way through, and the you know, the wooden sticks, you can just put them in there, take them out. Okay, picture a half dozen of eggs, okay, where you can remove the egg, and with those 6 eggs you can actually form letters within the Braille system. Okay, so it's 2 lines of 3 dots, okay, going vertical. The first line from top to bottom is 0.1, the second 0.2, 0.3, going to the second line vertical, 4, 5, and 6. So if I take out the 0.2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I only leave the dot 1, this is the letter A. If I put 0.1 and 2, this is the letter B. If I only have the 0.1 and the 4, this is C. And if I put 1, 4, and 5, this is letter D. Okay, just to prove my point. So this is the Braille system. It's called the Braille cell. That is a combination of points, and you form a letter. Okay, so this is how they start teaching children how to read Braille. Okay, we also practice with the Perkins. I started learning when I first was introduced to Braille. I could still have, you know, I could still see straight ahead, 20/20 vision. I have retinitis pigmentosa, and I lost my sight on a tunnel vision. So it just, you know, was closing until I was looking through this little tiny hole. But then I started having the pigments, and my eyes, you know, just went blind. I only have light perception, more light perception on my right eye. But this is how we practice. Okay, now in the United States, if I'm not mistaken, they adopted Braille in all the schools. Well, the schools that were, you know, had programs for the Braille, you know, specifically Perkins in 1916. Perkins is the school where Helen Keller, the famous Helen Keller, studied. You know, she was blind and deaf. And one of the, I believe it was an instructor who worked at Perkins, at the Perkins schools in Massachusetts, who invented this Brailler. He was tired of, you know, seeing that there was Braille books, but we were not able to, or that there was a Braille system, and that the blind people had no access to write Braille and read Braille. So this is great, and I'm gonna share with you about the different ways, or some of the different ways I use Braille, and how these, different devices and accessibility within the Braille or with the Braille system makes a big difference. Okay, so over here I'm showing a book. I'm gonna show the cover. It's a Dr. Seuss book. Okay, Dr. Seuss. I'm gonna open up the book, and oh my gosh, this is a book that has Braille on the page, and it also has prints for those blind parents who have sighted kids, and they can start reading with their kids and have their kid on their lap, or just read the story together. This is something critical in the life of a blind parent, having access to those books and just read like any other parent to their kids. Okay, so within the area of education, this is critical. So I get these books from Braille Institute just so I can practice my Braille, because I can type very fast. I have all many things labeled with Braille. I use it, but I'm not I started losing my sight when I was 19, and it happened gradually. So I'm not the best Braille reader, so I get books just to practice. Over here I have a calendar. This is my calendar from last year. I'm waiting for my next one, for my new one for this year, for 2020. I purchased this calendar I actually did a video on this. I have a video on my channel. I purchased this calendar from Maxi 8, and it has the dates with regular large bolded print for those people who need contrast, and it has the Braille on top. And you're gonna tell me like, yeah, but nowadays we have watches that where you can listen the date, and you can also use your iPhone and the computer. But if you are someone professional and you have worked with clients, and you don't want to be making listening to the time, checking the computer, using your iPhone, and you want to be just professional, you can. One of these calendars is critical. I have used this when working with clients, I used to work for the Walt Disney Travel, and you have your computer there, but when a client calls, they call, if you work in a call center, and they ask you, what is the tell me whatever, a Thursday in the month of November, whatever. It's difficult for us to actually, find that out. So you can easily access that through a calendar. So a calendar is critical. A Braille calendar is critical in my life. I also have, let me see, I have my Braille watch. I'm showing it to the camera. Okay, with this Braille watch, you can actually listen to the time and date on audio. But again, if you have clients and you want to be, you're in a meeting, and you don't want to interrupt, in those settings where it's more professional, you just leave the little lid on the Braille watch, and you can just read with your finger, read the time. This is perfect. I love this one, especially when you don't want to look a little weird. Okay, I also have my Braille labeler. I'm showing it here. For those who don't know what a Braille labeler and you're blind, it's a little like a circle with the Braille grade 1 and grade 2 around the circle, within the inside of the circle. Okay, it's attached to this handle, and on the front it has a little compartment where you put the tape. It's like tape, and I have the clear one. I believe they have different colors. You put it in there, you close the compartment, and then over here on the top you can rotate the circle and focus whatever letter you want to type, and then you press it. It has a little thing in the back where you squeeze that, and it punches whatever letter, and then you just get the tape on the top, rip it, and you can just stick it and label. What do you label? I hope you don't label people. You label stuff like I do with my shampoo, showing my shampoo. Very often shampoos and conditioners, they look the same time, so that's when I use the Braille labeler. I have it towards the bottom of my shampoo. I don't put it in the middle, because that's usually where you hold the bottle, and you don't want to get it too wet, and then it'll just pulls off. I also have here my medicine has Braille. I have here showing the medicine. Okay, my nail polish, whenever I use my do my nails myself, I have a CD here. We don't use CDs here, but just as a, proof that I used it in years ago when I was going to Cal State Fullerton, getting degrees, and when I used to get my reading on CD, then later on I used to get it on flash drive. And yeah, and guess, okay, I have one that is, I have to share with you about my Braille Touch. It's like a tablet, an Android tablet. I'm showing it. It has a cover on the top, you guys. This is very nice, very, very nice. Okay, it has a cover on the top. And oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. This is critical in the life of a person, especially if you work, okay? Because this is, let me see, how do I describe this to my blind subscribers? I'm gonna go show my Apple keyboard, my iPhone Apple keyboard, if you have one. The Braille Touch is a laptop, Notetaker, that is almost the same size. It's a little, it's not that heavy, but it's not light, okay? It has the 6 Braille keys with the space. Facing the Braille Touch up, the ceiling on the front, it has all these little keys because it has so many, functions. Okay, it has the 6 keys, and on the bottom it has a Braille display. I forgot, I was doing my video for Spanish and I forgot if this is a 34 or 60, whatever, for 32 Braille cell or the 64. I'm not sure. I have to check. I can't believe I don't know. Oh my gosh, and I use it. But I'm gonna turn it on and show you. Okay, so I'm showing it to the screen, hopefully.
Key soft on. Voice assist button.
Okay, I turn it on. So it's a whole laptop, but you can either use the voice program or you can only use the Braille display and just read everything with the Braille, or you can use both. You can use the
notification, account action, notification, email, 7 new messages, unlock button.
Okay, it's written. You can access Microsoft Word, internet, Bluetooth, GPS, everything. It's just like a Google Android, like an Android tablet. And you can attach a microphone and the
unlock button.
Okay. The greatest thing about this is that when you're in a meeting or you work, you can just hook it up to the computer and you can actually access whatever is on the computer. You can read it through the Braille display. Okay, just for example, years ago I used to work for the Walt Disney Travel, and their system is not accessible all the way. They lack a lot of the accessibility. They use the Just program, to book reservations, and it's alive. Okay. The Bluetooth, having a Braille tablet like the Braille Touch or any Notetaker, or a Notetaker that has a Braille display, and that you can actually connect to a regular computer and be hired by a company out there, like the Walt Disney Travel company, that they hire blind people. I used to work there years ago, and even though their system is not accessible all the way with the Just program, because it's not, a lot of the people that work there, they have to call for help, sighted agents who work helping, and it's very frustrating. They having access to a Notetaker like the Braille Touch and installing that, actually connecting that to the computer, allows you to actually access information through the Braille display, because you're on the computer working with the Just program with the guests on the line, and being able to access information with the Braille display, or taking notes or taking information on your Braille Notetaker works great. Same thing for school. So one of those devices for in the area of education is critical for employment, and you can just access everything there, your internet, your email, Microsoft Word, whatever. It's great. I use Braille so much. Okay, I use Braille so much that I'm showing my Apple keyboard. It's my Bluetooth keyboard for my iPhone, and I have always purchased those little Braille dots. They sell this at Braille Institute and Maxi 8s, and one of those stores that they have things for the blind. They have these little packages of 6 tiny Braille dots, like a little circle, and I always label my keyboards, like my desktop, laptop, keyboard. In this case, my iPhone Bluetooth keyboard, which I use all the time and it's critical. I label the number 1, the 5, the 7, and the 0, FJ, sometimes the enter, depending on which keyboard. Like my laptop, those laptop keyboards all the keys are very close to each other, so I usually label other keys. And this is for me to, when I'm typing fast, I quickly feel the 0, and that helps me, it's a reference to whatever is around. And guess what, Braille is also fun. There are things that we can have fun with Braille, not only for work and school and whatever. I'm showing here these bags. They're playing cards here. They have the Braille on it, so we can play, with, let me see if I'm showing it. Yeah, we can play with sighted people. But, okay, having said all of this, oh, by the way, I'm forgetting, I also have my Braille embosser, which is great because I can just, type whatever on my regular computer, and then I can just emboss, things and print on Braille. And that really helped when I was going to Cal State Fullerton when I did my degrees. So, wow, oh my gosh, I can go on and different areas that I use my Braille, and in the kitchen to label, just food and containers, and my folders. I remember when going to Cal State Fullerton, I had my different folders, with whatever handouts I was getting, and I would label my syllabus with Braille, on and on and on. Anyway, but I share with you about some of the things that I use, not all of them. Why? To make a point, to make more points. That's. Well, in Spanish it translates that is like a point. So I just share with you a little bit of how Braille makes a difference in my life, because this is just a tiny bit of how Braille has made a big difference in my life. And I share with you some of the most critical devices that have Braille accessibility or have access to Braille, and that have helped me to be independent and not only for reading and writing, because we blind people not only read and write, and Braille shouldn't be just for us to read and write, but I mean, reading and writing, learning how to read and write is critical, opens up a whole world for any people, any person in the world, for any human. But I say that because very often people only ask like, oh, you know how to read and write, great, so you don't get bored. I go like, no, the Braille system is not just so we read and write and that's it. No, the Braille accessibility gives us the opportunity to become independent within those critical areas of a person's life, just like anybody else, within the employment, just like the Braille Touch that I was showing you, the Braille Touch, because this really helps within the area of education, when you're a student, especially a college student, and for work. A Braille watch might seem very simple, but it's critical. It's critical, especially if you are a professional, okay? Calendar, I mean, it's not that we blind people don't know what day we live on, but it's all these devices. Now, the problem is that these devices are very expensive. They're not accessible to all the blind out there. Almost all my blind people here in the States, and I would say around the world, know that we the blind tend to be a business for agencies and programs out here in the States, because very often a lot of the programs, or many of the programs that we have in the United States, just like the Department of Rehab, whose goal is to give a person who has gone through whatever disability, or maybe has a disability, training, and the goal is to go back to work or to find a job, to be employed. Okay, to get this training very often is very expensive. Okay, expensive because the programs out there providing the services charge a lot and take advantage, because they know these programs are going to be paid by the state, and the state will pay for it. I mean, like my Braille Touch, I didn't purchase that. That is more than $5,000. I was given that by the Department of Rehab. They pay for that. Okay? They don't just give you a device, such expensive device like that. I mean, you have to have, going to the university or already graduated from the university. Okay? Because there are companies out there that they hire the blind, but their system is not accessible all the way. That's a lie. Like, for example, the Walt Disney Travel, who hires the blind. I worked there for years, and the system used to be so accessible at the beginning, but now, it's a lie that the blind people who work there are able to do the job 100%. No, because they depend on the help of sighted people. But whenever you have one of those note takers and you can, hook it up to the computer, you have a little bit more of accessibility, and you can have accessibility, if you have your own business, if you go to the university. A typewriter helps you take notes and whatever when you're a blind parent, right? So all those devices are very expensive. And here in the United States, we are blessed, by having all these programs. Even though we get all these devices, we get all the technology, they might pay for a degree. I mean, the Department of Rehab paid for my first master's degree. I pay for my second master's degree. But when it comes to getting a job, that's a whole other story. Now, what about my blind people around the world? I get messages from people or people who share with me that they know, blind children who live in these remote places, and they don't even know that this thing exists. They don't even know that Braille is something that they can learn, and they can learn to, to have access to reading and, to books, and open up a whole, world. And of course, these governments they don't care. They open up, just say, for example, maybe rehab programs about 3 or 5 hours away from those little places. But these people, they don't even have money for transportation. So we don't have these other countries, other blind people, they don't really have all this technology that we have here in the States. And I'm grateful for having this. Now, learning Braille could be very easy, especially if you are someone sighted. I got this, I'm showing this let me see if I have it the right way. Is this piece of paper, you guys, with the alphabet and numbers on regular on print, and then on top it has Braille. I got it from the Braille Institute. On top, hopefully, let me see if I can show it, has A, is that one, B, C, D, and so on. So I learned Braille when I was sighted. So, if you're someone who is interested in making a difference in the life of a blind person or blind people around the world, and you have ideas about coming up with something, I would be, that would be a big difference. Now, blind people, like the National Federation for the Blind, who are very involved in so many things about the blind here in the United States, which I love that organization. They're fighting, to preserve the Braille system. I know people also in other countries, like my friend Carolina in Chile, who has a WhatsApp group on, teaching Braille, and she works in that area. They are afraid that Braille is going to disappear, because now kids nowadays, they just get tablets and, at school. iPhones are making our life easier, and maybe kids are tending, to forget about Braille, but hopefully it's not the case. And not because all these devices are too expensive, we cannot come up with something like, creating these cards. And like the thing for learning Braille, the Braille box that I was showing you, something that people can easily do at home. You can even use a half dozen of eggs and just, learn Braille. And that would be an extra skill. I call it a whole language. I have it on my curriculum as a whole language. I will say that I'm trilingual. And yeah, I hope you learn a little bit from my video. If you know any Spanish speakers, tell them about me. Tell them everything about me. I also have this video in Spanish. And yeah, hopefully I was able to, share with you many points and dots. And yeah, I'll see you in my next YouTube video. Bye. Adios.